Welcome everybody, councillors here and everybody joining us virtually, officers, public and press. Could I just first of all start with asking members of the executive to introduce themselves? Councillor Smith.
Apologise. Councillor Mark Smith, Cabinet Member for Business Enterprise and Job Creation.
Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, Councillor Ivan Taylor, Cabinet Member for Partnerships and Performance.
Councillor Hobson.
Councillor Jim Hobson, Cabinet Member for Children's Social Care and Schools.
Councillor Farrell.
Councillor Joe Farrell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care and Health.
And Councillor Brooks.
Councillor Neil Brooks, Cabinet Member for Enforcement, Public Safety, Highways and Transport.
Very good. Thank you. Obviously, if you just, in the usual way of things, if you want to speak, do so by just raising your hand. And I think we've had apologies due to personal reasons tonight from Councillors Benson, Campbell and Hugo. Agenda item 1, declarations of interest. Anybody have any declarations? Nope. No, thank you. So agenda item 2 is council tax reduction scheme. And I believe Steve Thompson is joining us virtually for this item.
Thank you, Chair. It's a very long item, 192 pages, basically no change to the scheme year on year. We are required to publish a council tax reduction scheme each year, hence why it goes to executive for recommendation to full council. In the years prior to COVID, we did finesse the scheme over a number of years to provide support to various vulnerable groups, identifying such allowances as carers allowance, disability living allowance, personal independence payments, job seekers support allowances, etc. And going forward, we will continue to do that. However, as you can appreciate, the last 2 years has seen some exceptional volatility. Just looking at working age claimants back in 18-19, we had a low of 12,900. But in 2021, that figure had increased to 15,500. So we're looking for the scheme and the claimants to settle down before we look at finessing that, possibly for 23-24.
Right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Councillor Brooks, are you moving the recommendations?
Yeah. Recommendations. Sorry.
Thank you. So I'll second. Could I have a show of hands, please?
So that's agreed.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, which is the appropriation of land for planning purposes at King Street, Blackpool, and I believe we're joined by Alan Cavill virtually for this item.
This is part of the process of assembling the land for the now, as we know, the Department of Work and Pensions offices at that location, which we know as phase 3 of the Talbot Gateway programme. And that piece of work, the appropriation, is to ensure that all of the title and rights to any access over the land are extinguished in favour of a compensatory figure, so that we can get on with the development. We wouldn't want anything to trip us up as we go forward with this development, in terms of perhaps somebody having some access over that land that we were unaware of. It doesn't take away their rights to seeking compensation, but it does take away people's rights to access once the land is appropriated.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Alan, for the detailed description there. I've got nothing else to add to it, but because Alan's given such a detailed response, what I want to do is move the recommendation forward of 2.1 to 2.2, Chair.
2.1 to 2.3?
2.3, right. It says 2.2 on mine, yeah. Thank you.
So, happy to second. So we'll have a show of hands.
And again, that's agreed.
Thank you. And then agenda item 4, which is Blackpool Town deal. I believe that's you again, Alan.
Chair, can I just really interrupt there, Chair? You said earlier on, have I got any interest? I do have an interest. One of my clients is probably the edge. I need to declare. I know somebody inside that building on the ground level, so I just need to declare that part of the, just for the record. So I don't know if that's personal, presidential, whatever. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, I declare it.
Sorry, Councillor Smith, can we just go back a second? Can you explain which item your interest is?
It's part of the town deal. It's the edge part of that process. One of the items on there is part of the old former Stanley buildings. On the ground floor, there's retail units, and I have an interest in one of the tenants on that ground floor. Will be affected by the relocation possibly in the future.
I don't know if Mr. Towers wants to offer any advice at this point. I think he's just about.
Yeah, I think if it's be a financial advantage or financial position that's going to benefit the person that you're representing, then Councillor Smith, then I would declare a prejudicial interest and withdraw from the meeting. But like I say, if there's a possibility of that in the future, then I would advise that, and in that case, we would need a seconder for that item, a new proposer for that item.
So Councillor Smith could just withdraw for this one item, couldn't he? Seems to be the simplest way of dealing with it.
I just think I just need to make sure I don't be caused later of anything I've not misled the meeting on, you know. Yeah. Just has to have one person on the whole report, you know, which is just may cause.
So just to clarify, Councillor Smith, you're declaring a prejudicial interest
on that one item,
in item 4, the town deal update.
Yeah.
As your client could be affected by one of the schemes. So at this point, having declared that interest, you should leave the room. Okay.
Thank you.
Now that Councillor Smith's left the room, we'll invite Mr. Cavill to.
Yes, as we were. Over to Alan Cavill. Thank you.
Yeah, I won't go into detail of projects unless anybody wants me to, but this is an update that we are required to do since the council is the accountable body for the town deal funding. This is to explain to the council that we have reached the stage now where most of the projects have been approved by the town deal, but that's all the projects have been approved by the town deal board. 2 of them are subject to further agreements, and that's the Revo project, Revo Southern Quarter, and the Multiversity. Once they've been approved by the Department for Levelling Up and whatever it's called, that's the next stage effectively. We will get the approval from that department, and then we'll be able to get on with the projects. But this is to sort of finally sign these projects off, subject to those 2 additional pieces of work that need to be done on both the Multiversity and Revo Southern Quarter, so that they're ready to go once we receive approval from the Department for Levelling Up, Housing and whatever the other thing is, local government. So.
Hey, thank you. Does anybody have any? Councillor Brooks?
No, I was just going to move the recommendations. You okay with that? Yeah, just to formally move the recommendations at 2.1 and 2.2 of the update, essentially to note that delegates to the Chief Executive, after consultation with the Leader of the Council and the relevant Cabinet members, the authority to sign off any supplementary agreements necessary for taking forward town deal projects, including but not limited to with Blackpool and Fylde College for the Multiversity, and Magistrates Courts and Tribunal Service for Blackpool Central Courts relocation, and with Blackpool Football Club for the development of the Revo/Southern Quarter Community Sports Village.
Thank you. Happy to second. Could I have a show of hands?
That's approved. I'll just go and get Councillor Smith and we'll restart.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So agenda item 5, financial performance monitoring as at month 5. So Steve Thompson joining us again. Thank you.
Very little to report month on month between month 6 and month 7. Slight deterioration of £19,000, but still showing an overspend of 7.1 million, of which 4 million relates to the consequences of COVID. So that's over half. In relation to our companies, from the start of the year when we were forecasting cumulative aggregate deficits of 5.6 million, that's come down to 2 million in the main, due to the fantastic financial performance of Blackpool Operating Company, who operate Sandcastle Water Park. I think the only other thing worth mentioning that in relation to the medium-term financial strategy, where we said we'd strip out the growth and prosperity programme to remove that volatility from the financial monitoring, we have done that, and we'll be monitoring and assessing that programme against our earmark reserves going forward.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Steve, for the update there. Got a couple of questions just relating to the report. I know you mentioned earlier on about the costs due to COVID, due to the shortfall in the reserves. Is there any chance of any more funding from central government to cover this shortfall in the budget? That's one question. I've got 2 more questions. We could do one at a time, Chair. Is that okay with Steve?
Well, never say never, but the word from the Department for Levelling Up is that it would be extremely unlikely going forward that we would receive any further funding towards COVID consequences.
That's disappointing, really. All the costs that's been involved in trying to sort of get us through this period, you know, but we have to work with that. I've got 2 more questions, Chair, if you're okay. Once, I noticed in the report you're on about leisure assets, there's a shortfall. I think it's 1.9 million, I think, or 1.1 million. But also, later on down, you said in the report that Merlin has shown an increased, better year. So going forward, that probably that shortfall is going to shrink, I would say. Is that true, Steve?
The indications are yes. That was at the end of October we reported in this particular report. The next report, month 8, will take us to the end of November, which will incorporate the autumn half term.
Just one more question, Chair. I know it's been a difficult year when recovering from COVID, but I did notice something to do with the business rates. So far, it's a 49% collection compared to last year of 51%, but no, last year was on a lower base of 9 million compared to 16.3 million this year. How does it feel with the collections in your department, and has any issues or any reason why we've got a shorter percentage compared to last year at all?
Yes, the percentage has dipped year on year, but it's on a much larger amount. As you'll recall, last year we received 100% business rate relief for the retail, hospitality, leisure sector. That discount relief reduced to 66% with effect from July this year, and that continues to reduce to 50% for next year, 22-23. So although it's a slightly smaller percentage, it is on a much larger amount. And we issued a number of final notices, reminders, and also issued a number of summonses in September and October. We probably haven't seen the consequence of that in this particular report. We'll hope to do so over the next month or 2.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Chair.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, thank you. So if I can move recommendations 2.1 to 2.5 within the report. Thank you. Can I have a show of hands, please?
That's carried again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's the end of the meeting. Good night.